Okay, Bryan in Florida, I got your Lincoln 2 here. Let me grab the box so I can show you. Alright, so this one's going to be yours right here. So basically what I've done so far is enable the middle band. So now you have all the bands. So now we're going to look at sideband because I've aligned the sideband. These are always kind of way out of whack. So plug that in. That should take off real quick there. So there's that right there, looking pretty good. That's with the RF power all the way up. Looks nice. When you lower it, the power should drop. Usually it doesn't really start to drop until you get about past half, and then it will drop quite a bit from around, actually it's more like when it's about a quarter is when it really starts to drop. So there's not much give between all the way up and say half. So this is half on the meter, on the dial. This is your peak power right here with the two tones. This is all the way up. So there's really no different on sideband. There's really no difference there. So you could actually run this at 50%. You're still probably going to get the full output out of it. And then at about a quarter, it starts to really lower down, and then it's going to give you a real low output down there. You can see that there. So, but all in all, it looks really good up here on the spectrum analyzer. So this is upper side. Actually, with this radio, it's kind of funny. You have to use a different offset, but to look at the spectrum analyzer, this would be the standard offset here. So instead of 1.9 on the second, I use 2.4, because if you use 1.9, then it kind of looks a little less round. And they start to kind of intersect, so we bump that up to 2.4, and then they start to differentiate from each other. But you get the same effect. It looks really good. It looks really good up here. That would be more the standardized look there. So this is a really clean sideband radio. I know it's hard to see your radio because it's upside down, but that's the nature. Unfortunately, I have to keep it upside down to work with it, because these are internal adjustments. But here's your FM deviation now, top scale. You take away the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to shoot for somewhere between 3 and 4. So I'm using the factory electric condenser mic by President. This is just the mic that would come with the radio, and I'm just speaking kind of a few inches away from it. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, check, 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 1, 2, 1, 2. Generalized talking, it's staying right around 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, about between 3 and 4. Every once in a while it kind of deviates towards a little over 4, but I think it's good here. It kind of ramps up and then cuts it back, and that's kind of normal. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of leeway here. If you turn it down more, it will start to get really low. I'll play with it just another second here, but I think I'm happy with where it's at right now. Okay, so yeah, this is going to be probably the best way. If I turn it down anymore, it starts to really clamp down, and then we don't like that. So it may be a little advantageous at certain times, but I think it's going to sound really good here. You know, it's one of those things. It's either going to be like around 3 and kind of stay right there, or just a little over 3, and sometimes just a little over 4, and then it kind of catches it and drops it right back. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's really a touchy adjustment here. So it is just a minor increase over the factory adjustment anyway. So there you go. So I forgot to show you the power. So FM, the power all the way up is about 35, and then all the way down is about 2.6. Okay, here's AM. So the power all the way down on AM is going to be about 1, and then all the way up is slightly over 8. All right, here's AM mod. So we're right at about 8. This is what the heck is this up here? Channel 20. There's our spectrum analyzer after that kind of subsides, so it's super clean. Channel 21 on the right, channel 1, actually frequency 195 on the left. It's not a channel, and that's in the 40 there. That one's skipped, but it is a frequency that's skipped over. So there's that. That's awesome. So looks really good. So we'll go to the low power. Shut that off for a minute. Oh, we got a timeout timer. So let's see if we can't center that up a little bit. This is low power. It's about 1 watt. So key up. And I'm zoomed in a little too much, but you can see that looks really good there too. It's not overblown out or anything like that, so it's going to work really nice. Okay, frequency, I have to line that last, so obviously it's slightly off. It's not terrible or anything, but that's something I do last after I let the radio cool off. It gets kind of hot when I test it. Obviously I'm kind of, you know, keeping it keyed for a while and adjusting things, so, and then the timeout timer will go off a few times. That's fine. I'd rather test it like that. Make sure that it can handle a little bit of stress. You know, it's kind of like the stress test, and they always do, as long as you don't like crank things up. Killer of this radio would be going in and playing with these bias adjustments and cranking up bias to these MOSFETs. You'll probably make them want to kill themselves. Also, I don't know why anybody in their right mind would want to go in and remove some of the components that have to do with the AMC, but I'm sure people probably do that kind of stuff, and it makes these radios just terrible. Probably just terrible bleed over boxes. So it's pretty much done on the alignment side. I'm going to put the cover back on. We'll flip it up and have a look at it, and then we'll just show you the power levels with the microphone. Alright, so I gave you the little original Lincoln Roger beep, so here it is, listening to it over there on that unit end. Okay, we'll shut that off. Echo, I'm not going to change it, however it's set from the factory, that's how it's going to come. If you want to run echo, you can set that how you like. I'm not even going to mess with that today. You may or may not want to use echo, so that's up to you. Same with the talkback. I'm not going to turn that on or anything. You can decide if you want to use the talkback. It does have a monitor function, so you can use that. We're going to start off in AM here. So, got the RF power all the way up. And we'll start talking. Oh, I got the mic gain off, sorry. Okay, here we go. So the mic gain is back on, and that's our power right there. 1 2 1 2, about 40 watts. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Check check check. You figure that's about accurate, because if you had 3 finals, you'd see about 60 watts, and that's what the Quad 6 has. It's very similar chassis to this, but it has 3 finals, so you get a little bit more power out of it. But generally, I like these radios better because they do 12 meter. And I think it's a cleaner output out of this radio. So that's just me, but for some reason everybody loves that Quad 6. Probably because the cost is less, but a few extra watts, like 20 watts, is nothing to me. I'd rather have this, a little cleaner output, and go with that. This is actually a really nice radio that a lot of guys, maybe they've already owned one or something, but a lot of people don't give this the credit that it's due. The day that this radio stops being made will be a sad day. Hopefully I'll have one in stock and I'll end up keeping it, because, you know, that'll be disappointing if I can't get one or something. Hopefully there's a heads up if they ever quit making it. Although I do have a few of these here right now, so I'm good if that day were to happen soon. Here's our low power. So 1 2 3 1 2 3, check check, 1 2 1 2. So on low power, you know, you got some peak power there. It's going to kind of fluctuate all over. That's that less aggressive AMC that it does clamp down, and then at times it does let it go, and that's why you see those peaks of power. It's not real consistent, so, you know, for whatever reason, this is how they work. So, you know, if you manipulate the circuit and you go in and you disable the AMC, then it's going to be just downright horrible, and you don't want to do that. So sideband all the way down right here. 1 2 3 1 2 3, check check, 1 2 1 2, about 6 watts. Then we'll just put it at 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock there's about 36.8 to 38, and I'll turn it up all the way now and see if that makes any difference. So here Here's up all the way. I can't see the camera because my stupid phone is giving me some notification about a tracking update. So it just went uncovered my screen. So really, there's no difference there. You're okay to run this at like 12 o'clock straight up, and that's pretty much going to give you everything the radio has. So we'll put that back there. 1 2 3 1 2 3 check 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 1 2 1 2 hello. So probably even on AM, probably that would be like a good spot to run it. Let's see where the carrier is there. It's actually like 7 watts, so that would be I would say on this radio. Usually a sweet spot is always around 4 watts on all these radios. So let's see. There's our 4. 1 2 3 1 2 3 check check 1 2 3 4 hello radio 1 2 1 2 1 2 check check check. Yeah, that's pretty good there. So you could run it there, or you can run it all the way up on AM. It doesn't really matter. That's going to be up to you. This isn't a 50 60 70 watt radio. It just never can do that. It's only 2 finals here, so what we're seeing is about right. And I can show you the receiver really quick, and then I'm just going to let this cool, and then I'll align the TX frequency and everything, because that's important on these. They usually come a little bit out of frequency. Alright, here's AM, so it's got as good a receiver as the QT60 and a lot of the other ones, so that's good. 30% mod, and right at 12. And it's minus 113, so that's good. Alright, here's lower sideband, so clarifier is just a hair off the center. It's because the radio hasn't been aligned yet. But still receiving really good, so minus 127.5. And at about 12 there, so that's awesome. So now I'm just going to wait and let it kind of cool off some more. It's probably actually ready now. It's not hot at all, so I'll put the screws in and everything. There's a lot of screws in these. That's only, there's 2 on each side, and then I think there's 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom. And when I set these up, I take both covers off, so you have all your bands here. You can see everything's there. Oh man, sorry about that. Well, I paused it, but about ready to cough. So yeah, everything's there. You can set this up in here if you want to. Some guys don't. When I use these, I do. I like to have it like this, so that if you're using this mic, now when you use that, wherever you have this little detent, whoops. No, we don't want to store memory. You can switch it, so that's how I like to use it. It makes it easier. You can move around quicker, and you can jump through the bands without having to hit the band. And this is like your little I call it like a detent or something, but it's more like a span or something. So you can set this here. You can use your channel selector on your microphone. If you use this, it does the same thing. So you really don't ever have to use the channel selector anymore if you don't want to. You just tap it and you can see that little number. I really like that feature. That is a feature that the Quad 6 it will do, but it will mess it all up, and this radio doesn't do that. So that's one thing that they got wrong with the Quad 6 and they got right with this radio, because it doesn't matter what this says. You're going off frequency now. So of course it's gonna stay aligned with what we have here. If we go to 195, what does it say? Still 19. Yeah, so those parts don't matter. If we go like this, we can go all the way through the band. This is great for amateur radio use too, because you can just kind of quickly cycle through. If you're listening up on 10 meter, of course you'd be on upper side. You can just kind of go in small increments. You can go even smaller too, I think. Yeah, you can even go here. So it's a really nice feature if you use this mic. I do like that a lot. Probably it would work on the Digi mic too, the same up and down, or if you had a different mic that had up and down in it. that was wired for this radio. So it's a good feature. I think it's worthwhile to use that. I don't know if a lot of guys even know that the radio will do that, but if you don't, maybe you'll learn something from this if you've watched this long. I know a lot of people don't watch any longer than they get bored or something, and I get it. But the customer, hopefully he'll get something out of it. If you don't like it, just go back into the menu, hit channel. I always go store. I don't know if that makes a difference. Now it doesn't really matter where this is. It's just going to stay on channel. If you want to use it now, you have to use it here, kind of thing. So it just reverses the effect of this, basically. I like it the other way. I think I'm going to leave it like that for you. If you want to change it back, you can. So it's kind of, it reminds me a little bit of the original Lincoln. I think that those did that too. They had a span on them. So I think it's a worthwhile feature to use. So I'm ready to align it now. So I'll get that set up and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to align the AM and FM. They kind of go together, so I'll just do FM. So this is where it's at now. We want 27430. So we're quite a bit low. So I'll fix that up for you. Alright, so that's good right there. That's the frequency that we're on. That's the test frequency. So that's all good. Alright, so now I'm going to do lower side. So we're going to look for 27429. So we're putting a 1 kilohertz tone, but remember we're on lower sideband, so that 1 kilohertz will change the frequency down 1 kilohertz. Well, let's do that now. Okay, so it's 8-9. So okay, so we're off a little bit. So let's just bring this up. So we have to do that when we're not keyed. Here we go. Maybe I can do it like that. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so on sideband you can change the mode. You can change it while you're in TX. On AM and FM you can't. So you can see as I move this, it's slowly coming up in frequency. That's about perfect right there. So we're not going to touch it anymore. That's fine. It's right within spec. So now we're going to do upper. So we're going to do the same thing. You look for 431. So it's off there too. So I'm thinking I'm going to increase the number. Nope, still decrease the number. Sometimes you gotta go a little ways. Hey, that's looking good. So that's a little too much. That's right in the ballpark there. Go like that. It's too low. That's perfect. So again, you have to remember these radios will maybe drift a little bit. We're talking maybe like 20 hertz at the most. I mean, that's not enough to really be concerned. So the guy maybe running, you know, the HF radio, he might be able to dial you up on his waterfall and be like, oh hey, you're like 15-20 hertz. No big deal. It doesn't really change how you sound. I mean, these are good radios. You align them the right way, they work really good. So you know, you don't align it right, you just go in and adjust that, what is it, L807. It doesn't really do it, you know. And also, one thing I always recommend on these anyways, whoops, going to menu, and that's an option that I didn't show yet, but clarifier on these right here. Whoops. Generally I like to tell my customers to use it in the R and T setting. That way if there is an opportunity, like say you have this out in the car and it's the middle of winter, obviously you're not going to have that issue with this one, but you know, other customers may. It's going to be off frequency a little bit until it heats up. You can use your clarifier. You're going to hear people out there. You can tune right to them, and then your TX frequency will be there. You don't have to run it like that. I mean, obviously you can use it in receive only if that's what you want to do. I'd probably just leave it there and let you see how it works. But if you want to, you can always switch it back. Same thing with the Quad 6. There used to be, I guess, a service mode on the Quad 6, but they did away with it. Probably because people were going in there and had no clue what they were changing and probably were screwing up a lot of radios and stuff like that. So there's nothing else in that service mode that I would ever recommend worrying about. But that's an important step, is aligning the radio the right way to do it. So the radio is done. I didn't put the screws in it, actually. I'm going to do that now. Get it boxed up for you and ready to send off to you Monday, just like I had mentioned through the email. So thanks again, and another nice Lincoln 2 Plus on the way to its new home. 7-3.